I wanted to make a video here describing the difference between the body styles of beer that I discuss in pretty much every review. For those who've read a menu describing beer, or have even read the label, or maybe just heard about it, there's three body styles of beer. There's light, medium, and full. Now there are many styles out there, from blonde to amber to IPA to stout to wheat to many others. And there's IBU and ABV and SRM, and there's a bunch of different things. But I'm focusing primarily on body style in this video. Actually, that's only I'm focusing on. So, for those who are non-brewers, you may not know what all that means. Most non-brewers I've talked to, the overwhelming majority, don't know what it is. They just know they like a certain style. They prefer full body beers or light body beers. So what's it mean? How's it created? Well, it comes around all grain brewing. Regardless of the brewing style that you use, the body style that is all done in all grain brewing, and it's done in the mash tun. So to step back just a little bit, the mash tun is a vessel that holds the grist, which is malted barley. Once the malted barley is processed and cracked and all that, it gets dumped into a mash tun along with hot water. The grist and the water mix in the mash tun to form what's called mash. The hot water varies in temperature, but the most common ranges I've seen are 140 to 160. Lower temperatures work. There's such thing as step mashing, which is in the 120 range, and you can also mash grain in the 130s. But the overwhelming majority of breweries I've gone to, brewmasters I've talked to, use approximately 140 to about 158. Above that is for other purposes, sparging and rinsing. So anyway, I'm going to keep this very simple. For one, to not lose people. For two, because I'm not a chemist, I'm not into microbiology. I'm going to explain it the best I understand. And really, getting down to like the molecular level, most people aren't going to care about that. So, three basic body styles: light, medium, and full. Generally, light body is best for summer. Full body is best for winter. But you can do whatever you want to do. There's no hard and fast rules. So here's the difference. And again, these are the numbers I go by when I'm brewing and what I've read a few times. These aren't hard and fast numbers, but they're the general temperature range. About 140 to about 147 degrees Fahrenheit is for a light body beer. Okay. And then about 147 to 153 range is medium body. And then 153 to 158 is full body. So that's pretty common numbers. So when a brewer makes a light body beer, regardless of the kind of beer that's being made, it could be a light body stout, it could be a light body blonde. It doesn't matter. The beer doesn't care. The grain is steeped in the mash tun. Nothing's really done to it. It's just steeped. It just sits there and absorbs the hot water. What's happening is at the lower temperature range, there's two types of enzymes that are active overall. There's beta and alpha. It's backwards. Beta is the lower range, up to 140, about in the 140 range. Alpha is a higher range, the 150s, and even though there's a middle range, the medium body, there is actually no enzyme for that. That's what I was looking for. But I'll explain that in a minute. So, you want to make a light body beer. Let's just say, summer beer, spring beer. So, I want to make it really light body. You're going to pick about 142 or so, right around in there. So, you have the grist and the water mix at about that temperature, or as close as you can get it. What happens is those beta amylase enzymes, they go after the starch chains that are inside the malt. and they eat those. It converts the starch change to fermentable sugars. So what it does, if I'm going out of memory here, it eats the chains on the end. So there's small pieces and there's a lot of them. Okay. And what that does is, because there's so many little pieces, it's lighter in your mouth. It's a light mouthfeel. But because there's so many little pieces, it creates more fermentable sugars. There you have it. The higher range, the 150s, what that does is that uses the alpha amylase. I didn't make up the order they come in, that's just the way it is. Okay, that one, what that does is it basically takes that same starch chain. Let's just, say it's this big, it doesn't really matter. It chops it pretty much in the middle, or about there. So what happens is you have these longer chains instead of these little tiny pieces, these long chains that fills up more in your mouth, and it gives a more full mouthfeel. Now the other side is that because there's big long chains, got tons of little pieces there, there's less fermentable sugars. Now you'd think, well, what's the matter if it's small or big? Because they're only eating from the ends, vice they have both ends of little pieces to eat from. If that makes sense. I probably may not have explained that very well. Anyway, so with the full body, it kind of breaks it in half, and then it just nibbles away in the ends of that one, but there's still big chunks of it. So it's a full mouthfeel and less sugars because it's just big pieces rather than just small pieces. That creates a full body but less fermentable beer. And there's ways to get more sugars into it. If you want higher gravity, you can use more other malts in there. You can add regular sugar. But that's not the point of this conversation. Now, what about the middle? Because, okay, beta's here, alpha's here. Beta does the lower and alpha does the higher. What about the middle? Well, what happens is in the middle of it, in the middle medium body, you get a little bit of beta, a little bit of alpha in there. So it's that temperature range in there is just getting a little of both. So you get a little bit of the light body, the full body. You get some small pieces of the starch chain, some pieces of the big one. And again, what's happening is, the enzymes are eating the starch chains and creating fermentable sugars out of those. So again, this is a very high level overview. I can't get into the microbiology because I'm not a microbiologist. And there's much more to it than that, but that's just kind of a high level overview of it. So when you read somewhere that's saying, this is a full body beer, you know that, okay, it's created a higher temperature, not significantly, it's only about 10 degrees, a higher temperature, and as bigger starch chains in it. That's why it's not technically true, but that's why it gives you a full mouthfeel. The lower number, when you go, man, it just feels thinner in your mouth. It's because there are not those long chains of the sugars. It's smaller pieces in your mouth. It'd be just like eating a piece of food. Say you take a green bean or something, and you have a full one in your mouth. It's very different feeling in your mouth than but just tiny chopped up pieces. It just doesn't taste the same. It doesn't feel the same. So why different body styles? And that's going to be the end of the video here. Well, not everybody wants the same body style all through the year. Some people want full body all the time. Some people want light body all the time. But on a hot summer day, a full body beer is just too much. So, it's kind of overwhelming on your mouth and your body. So that's why summer beers, spring and summer, tend to be light body, maybe medium body. And then the winter, it's colder. You want something heavier, more chewy kind of. That's when you go for full body. But again, no beer has to be a certain style. I've seen stouts are light body. I've seen blondes are full body. Could be really anything. So now when you read the menu, you have a little bit better of an idea what it means. And maybe you look at this beer and go, yeah, I don't really want a full body beer, and for this reason, I'm going to go with the light body. So hopefully that clears up just a little bit. I know this isn't really heavy in biology, but it's what I can explain the most simplistically.